Welcome to Cheat the Spread, powered by 613 Sports.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 3 of Cheat the Spread. I'm your co-host, Cameron Shadat, and I'm joined today by Jack Lovett. How's it going, Jack?
I'm doing pretty good, Cam. Last weekend wasn't great. College kind of kicked both our butts. My Buffalo call over team total didn't hit. Buffalo kind of crapped the bed, and Notre Dame obviously didn't feel like showing up against Clemson, so that wasn't great. NFL was pretty much even. Some good calls. The Chiefs not covering was pretty frustrating because, they were just in control of that game versus the Saints, and as they do, they sort of just coast their way to a win, so we got a push there. You might have got a win if you got 2.5 right before game time, but pretty much even on Sunday. How about you?
Yeah, so as Jack kind of touched on last week, I went 1-2. Jack went 1-2-1 since he had the push from the Chiefs game, and our joint pick went 1-0 last week. Like we mentioned, obviously we're not the best at college football. Apparently, I thought Notre Dame would make that game a lot closer than it was. They were actually up 3-0 to start that game, and then they got a pick on Clemson's very first drive. We're down in the red zone, turned the ball over, I think 2nd and goal or something like that, and they didn't score the rest of the game from that drive. They got smoked. So that was a tough one, but that was my underdog pick anyway, so it is what it is. But thankfully my lock hit, and my teaser was not great again 2 weeks in a row. But, we're up and down, but we're still in the positive. We're both still above 500, and that's all you can ask for. We're still in the green right now.
Absolutely. It's a hard business to do. People say, oh, it's easy gambling. If you can win 52.5% of your bets, you're breaking even. So that's what we're going for. So we're doing pretty good. And
we also got to touch on it. We like to shit on Nick Mullins on this show. Well, I do at least. As you can see last week, for good reason, played like absolute garbage. Got blown out by the Cowboys. Actually ended up costing me my fantasy football season. Thanks to the Niners defense, absolutely crap in the bed, getting me -2 points. But unfortunately, this might be our last Nick Mullins rant ever. I got a feeling he's not going to be back next year, and he does look like he's going to be out for the season with an elbow injury. So, TJ Beathard, you're up next, buddy.
Up next for the roast, I'm assuming, but
for sure. And with that said, let's get right into our overreactions and underreactions for this week.
For sure. So I'm going to start us off with our overreaction, and I think me and Cam have a bit of a difference of opinion on this one. I think the Pittsburgh catching 1.5 points at home is a bit of an overreaction. They were favored until last week, and obviously that Monday night game against the Bengals was atrocious. I had a first quarter bet on the Steelers, and after watching Big Ben for like 5 minutes, I was like, I'm off this game. I'm going to lose this bet, and I'm not touching this game. And that was the right call because Pittsburgh looked awful. But and Pittsburgh is a team I have no problem fading, but I think this is a spot where I just don't see Pittsburgh losing like 5 in a row. I don't know what it is. I think Tomlin comes back and figures some things out. I have a chance to fade Phillip Rivers on the road in the cold. I think the Colts are a solid team, but this is just a situational spot where, as we're going to find out later, I'm using the Steelers in a tease, so that's how I'm going to attack this game. But I just think this spread flipping, I think the wrong team is favored, personally.
Fair enough. Jonathan Taylor's made me believe we're in the Colts the past few weeks. He's kind of taken over, and he's shown the Colts offense isn't as bad as we thought with Phillip Rivers at the start of the year. They're kind of turning things around. I think they end up winning that game, but that's just my opinion. But you briefly touched on it there. We forgot to mention at the start of the show, possibly 2 biggest upsets of the season all happening within the span of 48 hours. We saw the Bengals take down the Steelers, and the Jets somehow pull off their first win of the season, taking down the Rams.
Hello. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Eso. Eso. Había subido la marea con triple paella.
A lot of money could have been made on those Rams and Bengals money lines. Hopefully some people got on them, had the guts to take that action. I would not have. But yeah, Jack, you want to toot your own horn a little bit there with the stay away?
I did want to toot my own horn. Obviously, I didn't think the Rams were going to lose, but with the point spread that big, like I'm not touching it. So I guess that was, I have no idea what the Jets are doing. They just lost Trevor Lawrence. And the Rams, that's the most crazy game. Both sides just screwed themselves for no reason. And yeah, I have nothing else to say.
Like I've been saying for months, the Lambs are pretenders. They're not doing anything in the playoffs.
We'll see.
But getting into my underreaction for this week, I'm going to go with New Orleans and the Vikings. New Orleans is actually 7-point favorites in this game. I think New Orleans does still take it. I think that's a bit of an underreaction to how poor they looked for the majority of the game against the Chiefs last week. I mean, obviously it is the Chiefs, but the Chiefs defense by no means is world beaters, and the Saints did not look like they get a whole lot going on offense for the majority of that game until it kind of almost garbage time. It wasn't exactly, but the Chiefs were up pretty big in that game for quite a while, and they kind of let off the gas like they tend to do in the third and fourth quarter there. So I think New Orleans shouldn't be this heavy of a favorite as they are. I think that they will still win this game, but I think 7 points is quite a bit, and they definitely have not looked good enough to warrant this kind of spread in my opinion.
I agree. I think Minnesota is the exact kind of team that you want as a dog, but as a favorite, stay the hell away. Because like against the Bears, they just crap the bed. But Justin Jefferson, Thielen, like I think they can backdoor this against the Saints. So I'm with you there for sure. For
sure. And then now that you mention it, stay away is like we said last week. Obviously, I had the Niners and Cowboys, which ended up being correct because, Nick Mullins trash. And Jack had the Rams and Jets, which ended up also being correct. So our stay aways have actually been pretty hot so far for our first 2 episodes. My stay away for this week is going to be the Bills and Patriots. The Bills are currently 7-point favorites against the Pats. I think Buffalo wins this game, but last week Buffalo was able to clinch the division. They're kind of riding that high right now, and the Patriots have seasons kind of been over, and nothing enough to play for right now, but playing spoilers. And the Patriots have dominated the Bills in the past. I think Bills still win this game, but this could be a trap game for them. It could end up being closer than we think. And I think that, I just don't want anything to do with this game. I think that 7 points is quite a bit for this sort of game with not much on the line for either team, and I'm just staying as far away as I can from this one.
Interesting. I think it's a rational call. My dad agrees with you. My dad wants the Bills to rest all their players because it's already clinched. I feel a bit differently, as we'll find out later in my teaser segment. But for my stay away, I'm going to look to the Texans and the Bengals. And this is basically the same logic as last week. Like 8 points. Well, actually a bit different because you're giving 8 points to a terrible defense, or laying 8 points rather, with a Houston Texans defense that sucks. I know the Bengals are terrible. I think, like, if I had to pick it, I might lean Houston. I think Watson is going to roll here against the Bengals, but the back door's open. Houston can't stop the run, and Cincinnati maybe has some energy off that win. I'm just going to stay away from this game.
No, for sure. And I think we've seen, like I said last week, actually, in my overreaction, Houston +7 was tough against the Colts. It's 2 weeks in a row, not 2 weeks in a row, but 2 games in a row. They should have beaten the Colts, and they somehow find a way to turn it over on the very last play of the game, always in the red zone. So it's definitely an interesting game, and we'll see what happens with the Bengals there, or the Texans, sorry.
Right.
Moving into our locks, dogs, and teas for this week. So far, I'm actually 2-0 on my locks, so if you want some free money, you better hit my locks. I'm going with this week the Cardinals -5 against the Niners. Honestly, at this point, you just got to fade the Niners in every single game. The quarterback room is looking like an ER right now. It's just brutal. Jimmy G has opened Jimmy G's practice window, but I don't think he's going to come back this year, and he shouldn't because the season's over. Let's just tank it out and draft his replacement. Nick Mullins is not coming back. He's going to have Tommy John surgery possibly, so he's done for the year. CJ Beathard might honestly be worse than Nick Mullins. He is so slow at making decisions, and he's got a big arm, but he's not any better. And I think the Cardinals, it is still a divisional game, so they do have something to play for, a lot of pride on the line here. And I think no matter what, they're going to end up rolling the Niners here. I wish it wasn't the case. I wish we were more competitive, but there's just no way the Niners with CJ Beathard or Josh Rosen at quarterback are going to find a way to beat this Cardinals team that's been rolling recently.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only way you can look is the Cardinals in this game. The number does scare me a bit. I think it's at 5 now, but the Niners don't seem to be playing for much, so I agree that's the side in that game. For my lock, I'm going to keep riding last week against the Pats, our joint pick getting back to 500. I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins, lane 3 against Vegas. This is just an undervalued Dolphins team. I think me and Cam have both said that in the past.
We both hit on it last week. We both won some money on Miami, actually. Somehow being -1.5 up to game time against the Pats. Literally
Facts.
free money they were giving out, but continue. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, the Dolphins were dogs before
actually,
that game.
Yeah, right before the game started, they were +1 before the game started. So literally free money if you got on that line in time.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm going to keep riding them this week. I think the Vegas defense, they have fired their DC last week. They lost to Anthony Lynn. Or rather, 2 weeks ago they fired their DC. They lost to Anthony Lynn last week. So things are going the wrong way for the Raiders. And
no Derek Carr as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we have Mariota, which it's going to be two Hawaii quarterbacks with Tua versus Mariota. So that could be interesting. I actually don't think Mariota's terrible, but this is just a spot where the Dolphins are a much more disciplined, smarter team. I think Brian Flores is going to have a good scheme to stop the Raiders. It's my lock.
For sure, and we're going to get into that a little bit more later as well. So I'll get my thoughts on that a bit later as well. But getting into my dog, we're going back to college football this week. Hopefully it goes better than last week. But I'm on Oklahoma, +125 money line versus Florida in their bowl game. This one, It's tough. It could go either way, to be honest. But Florida is not going to have Kyle Pitts for this game. And anybody who's watched a lot of Florida games this year, I've watched quite a bit because I'm kind of a big Kyle Trask fan myself and Kyle Pitts as well. But Pitts said he's not going to play in this game. He's going to get ready for the draft. And when Kyle Pitts does not play, this offense does not look anywhere near the same. I believe he didn't play in that LSU game they lost a couple weeks ago, and we saw how that turned out. And Oklahoma's been rolling. They lost a couple games early. Spencer Rattler's kind of getting adjusted to the college football lifestyle still. But since then, Oklahoma's been rolling. Defense is looking a lot better. And Florida without Kyle Pitts just is not the same team. So honestly, there's some good value in that plus 125 money line for Florida. And if you don't think that Oklahoma can pull off the victory, they are plus 3, I believe, in that game. So if you want to get on that money on the spread instead, there's still some good value to be found there as well.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a smart call. I was actually on Iowa State last week, and Oklahoma pulled that one and covered. So Iowa State did not cover for me, unfortunately. But yeah, looking to my dog, I'm going to be in college football too. Hopefully we can get some wins. And I'm going to look at the University of Cincinnati, the snub of the year, the team everyone thought should be in the college football playoff, including them. I mean, so this is just an example of why college is a flawed system. You have a team supposedly in contention for the playoff that goes undefeated, never loses a game. Like, what more do you want this team to do? And they don't make the college football playoff.
It's because they played too many games. Everyone knows the cutoff is 6 games. If you go 6-0, you get in. If you go more than that, you don't get in.
Well, apparently. I mean, I get mid-major, and honestly, like, I don't know as a committee member if I would put them in, but as them, you've got to be pissed going into this bowl game against Georgia, and you're getting a touchdown. I think they win the game, but I'm going to take the +7, and if they lose by a touchdown, I'll live with getting my money back. That's going to be my dog this week.
For sure. I definitely think there's some good value found there as well. I think Cincinnati actually pulled up the W in that game, so +7 is great value. I'd definitely be on that one myself as well. Moving to my teaser for this week, we're going to the NFC least. We're going to hop on the Eagles. We're going to tease them all the way up to +3.5 and over 43.5. I think the Eagles should win this game, so there's great value at them +3.5. And let's be honest, this division sucks. There is one team in this whole division who can play defense, and that is the Washington football team. They're not playing in this game. The Eagles and the Cowboys cannot play defense. So I think they should hit that 43.5 pretty easily for the over. And I think the Eagles actually pull off the W here. So this teaser should hopefully be free money. But I thought that past couple weeks as well, and it hasn't worked out. So we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely lean Philly in that game too. For my tease, I'm going to get 2 situational spots, and I'm finally going to back my own team. I didn't back them last week. I thought the Broncos would keep it close, and my own team screwed me there.
Did not turn out too well for you.
Did not turn out too well. So I'm going to zag this week. And so I disagree a little bit with Cam's analysis. I agree that there may be some incentive for the Bills to rest the players. Like, the Pats do have our number historically, but this is just 20 years of the Patriots owning us. I think it's the biggest dominance of one team over the other, whatever their win percentage against us in the NFL. And I just think this is the little brother can finally fight back against the big brother. I just don't see a scenario where we lose this game. So if I can get the Bills to -1, I think we're going to put our foot on their neck, and I think we're going to win by like 10 or so, maybe closer, but that would be my prediction. And for the other leg, I'm going to go to my overreaction and take Pittsburgh to 7.5 over a touchdown. I think they win this game just because I don't see Tomlin. Maybe they do lose this, but 5 games in a row would be so much. I just think they find a way. And if they can lose by a touchdown and we still hit, I'm going to take that. So Buffalo -1, Pittsburgh +7.5. I feel pretty good about it. So maybe that's the kiss of death, but that's going to be my play.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens going forward, but I'm definitely have some different opinions on those games, but we'll see what happens come, I guess, Saturday, Sunday, whenever they're playing. It's kind of a weird week.
Yeah, for sure.
And then moving into our player props, like we've said in the past, unfortunately, when we record these episodes, the lines aren't usually out for these props, so they can move a lot. So these are not our official picks. These are just kind of some picks we think might have some good value if you want to keep an eye on them, if you're more into a prop bets kind of thing. I've got my first prop play of our show so far. I'm going to say that whatever Derrick Henry's rushing yards total is, as long as it's not something crazy like 200 yards, take the over. He's playing the Packers. This game should be close, should be back and forth. And the Packers cannot stop the run. The Niners showed that very well last year in the playoffs. We've seen it many times this year in the regular season. Derrick Henry should have a field day today, or not today, but whenever they're playing. And I would take his rushing yards over no matter what the line is, as long as it's a reasonable number.
Definitely. I think the Titans are live in this game, and I could just see a weird game where, yeah, the one thing I know in this game is Derrick Henry is going to crush Packers rush defense. So I agree with that. For my props, I have 2 looks. The first is Montgomery's rushing against Jacksonville. Jacksonville has no rush defense, and I mean, if Jacksonville were to somehow win this game and give Trevor Lawrence back to the Jets, potentially, like, that would just be a disaster. So, like, I think however this game plays out, I think Montgomery is going to get a lot of rushes. I think his anytime touchdown might be a good look too, so just keep an eye on Montgomery. And the other one I wanted to keep an eye on was Hurts rushing yards. it's hit both of his first 2 weeks playing, both against New Orleans and last week against Arizona. It barely hit last week, but that could be a good opportunity to find value in a divisional game. Maybe Dallas gets some containment on the back end. Hurts has a pretty good rushing floor, so I think it's a pretty safe bet.
For sure. And then with that said, like we said, obviously just try and keep an eye on those lines. They could be moving around quite a bit. So try and get some money on those if you can before they move too far in one direction or the other. And with that said, let's move into our joint pick for this week. So we're going back to the well. They won us last week, got us back to 500. We're staying in Miami. We're trying to go to the beach. We're taking Miami -3 over Vegas and what could be the biggest party game of the year if it was not for COVID. So we're taking Miami -3. As Jack said, that's his lock for this week. I'm also pretty heavy on that line, so we're gonna take it -3 for our joint pick. And Jack kind of gave his thoughts on it a bit. My personal thoughts: I think Miami should be getting some players back this week. We should see hopefully Devontae Parker, possibly Mike Gesicki. Salvin Ahmed had a pretty good game last week against the Patriots, and I think Miami's defense is still pretty healthy, and they're just too strong for a Vegas team that has been struggling recently. They should have lost to the Jets. They lost to the Chargers. This team's floundering right now, and I think Miami's playing for their life still. Baltimore's rolling right now. Miami cannot lose another game, or they're probably not going to make the playoffs. So whatever happens, Miami has to catch a W here. And -3 is always a good value in betting. So we're on Miami -3 for our joint pick.
Absolutely, yeah. Go Dolphins. Even the Bills already clinched, so I can cheer for the Dolphins and not feel too bad.
Sure, and then so that's going to do it for our picks this week. We're recording this on Thursday, so you guys will be watching this after Christmas, but happy holidays everybody who's watching this. Hopefully we can win you some money this holiday season if you're staying locked into our picks. We are still above 500, so hopefully you're still riding with us and we're winning you guys some money. Let us know down in the comments if you've been following our picks and how they've been going for us so far. And Jack, anything you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, happy holidays. We're recording this on Christmas Eve, kind of a weird time. There's one game this week, but Christmas deck is loaded, so hopefully you guys enjoy time with your family and enjoy the sports that we're getting. Yeah.
For sure, we're finally getting some NBA back. We're going to have the World Juniors for all the hockey fans out there. Training camps are going to be opening up soon. We've got NFL. There's honestly not much more you can ask for if you are a sports fan, especially a gambling fan like ourselves. There's a whole lot of action to be had over the holidays, but take a couple breaks here and there, enjoy some time with the family, and make sure you guys subscribe, like this video, go comment down below what you think. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at 613_sports. Same thing on Twitter and 613sportsblog.com. You don't want to miss anything that's happening over there. 2021, we're taking over. Peace.
Yeah, I'm leaving. Ice on me, man. I got diamonds, but they say that